The next big running back is not on the waiver wire right now. And the running back we're going to talk about today should have already been picked up last week, if not on this waiver wire run. But Kimani Vidal deserves a deep dive. So you know what you have on your roster. You know about his background, his athleticism, the advanced metrics, his potential. Whether or not you want to keep him, trade him, whatever you want to do with him, I'm going to help you out with this information today. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing these deep dives every single day, as many as possible, on all the trending players, so you know more about the players you're picking up. On top of that, we're going deeper than anybody else on the waiver wire, multiple videos a day sometimes, and then we're helping you set your lineups by looking at every single matchup, every single game this year. Click that button, stop missing out. And Kamani Vidal hit big last week, and he was a waiver wire claim the week before. More people picked up Hassan Haskins than Vidal. Per sleeper, it was millions more. And then per Grok, more people were tweeting up Hassan Haskins than Kimani Vidal. So there's a chance in some leagues that he slipped through the cracks and was out there on the waiver wire. And then on top of that, all the waiver wire articles had Kimani Vidal as a pickup. I had to mention it in all my videos that he should have been picked up, but he might have slipped through the cracks, as everybody in big fantasy football was talking up Hassan Haskins going into week 6. And I laid it out in the battle video that, hey, Vidal might be cheaper. That might be your route. It's up in the air type of deal. Hassan Haskins, 6 attempts, 14 yards. Did not get it done against the Dolphins. That was a smash matchup. And we are going to have to watch the touches still going forward. That doesn't mean things are going to stay the same. But Kimani Vidal cashed big, and that's big for a former 3-star recruit, getting only 6 offers notated by 24/7 Sports. He got more than that. They usually get more than that, but that's what was notated. LSU, South Carolina, keep in mind of that. Big schools were still after him. Big programs were still after him. We go to Troy, 4-year player, 1,100 yards in 2022, and then 1,600 yards that final year, 14 touchdowns, getting some work in the passing game, 92 balls caught on his career, yards after contact per attempt, over 3 his entire career, 3.52 on the career, over 1,000 yards that final season. And then what I like to look at in the passing game is yards after the catch per reception, 11.9 on 18 catches, but that lets you know that we can rack up yards in space. 10.9 that first year on 26 catches. That lets you know about the explosiveness, or at least the ability to manipulate space when getting the ball either in the flat, more likely the flat for him because we got a negative ADOT here of 0.5. Typically, if you got a positive ADOT, 2, 3 or something like that, they're running more routes downfield but still getting those checkdowns. That being said, this is a running back that can manipulate space. 4.46 40-yard dash is a clue for that. If you never watched him play college ball, I have. It shows up on the tape. 213 pounds, 5'8", shorter, but shortness isn't that big a deal. If you ever play defensive line, those short running backs, they kind of camouflage in behind the offensive lineman. If there is a fullback even, and they're camouflaged. They're a little bit harder to see. On top of that, the BMI, 32.4, 92nd percentile. We got some thickness there, according to Vince McMahon. Isaiah Pacheco comparison. Good size adjusted athleticism out of Troy with a good production profile. Small school prospect. Good college dominator rating. Okay yards per carry. Target share's fine, but not elite. But this is a running back that you're paying attention to because he's a late rounder with some good advanced metrics. You're looking at the depth chart. O'Marin Hampton's out of play right now. Hassan Haskins didn't play well last week. Nobody else is really going to come up. Naeem Hines could be a sneaky bet later, but he's also older. And Vidal's right now the hot hand. Looking at Haskins, he's never been a fantasy relevant asset ever. Even with the Titans, even with the Chargers, he was good in Michigan. He was very productive with Harbaugh. He can take on a lot of workload, but he's got to get a lot of workload for that to happen. He's a slower running back, does not have the pop in his step like a Vidal does. And you're looking at the work out of this backfield here. Vidal's averaging 3.41 yards after contact per attempt on 22 carries. Hassan Haskins is the lowest on the team right now. Does not have any carries of 15-plus yards or more. Vidal has 3, and on top of that, 5 carries of 10-plus yards or more. And that's on 22 rushing attempts. That is a high rate. That is the explosiveness coming through. 4 missed tackles on 22 rushing attempts. Nothing super crazy right now. 75 yards after contact. You're expecting that from a very explosive player that played well at the small school level. Hassan Haskins here is a good running back for what he is coming out of Michigan. But for the NFL level, we just don't have that juice that has shown up year after year after year on these small samples that he's getting. Nyheim Hines got 1 snap on the year. So that is a player to pay attention to because he is a crafty vet that they brought along later this offseason. But Haskins, 31% snap share, 11% opportunity share versus a 35% opportunity share last week. That being said, that's the backup role. That's a good opportunity share for a backup. That's usually what we're seeing with the handcuff running backs. 35% is pretty up there. For it to change, it shouldn't change that much. It shouldn't flip back and forth. 18 attempts, a 72% share of the rushing attempts out of the backfield for Vidal. That's big time. That's big time work. They're taking advantage of the explosiveness. That's what you need in this league. And you're looking at the opportunity shares, the workload metrics here. And Kimani Vidal was up there with some of the top running backs. When it comes to expected points, opportunity, he was up there. In his first game here, 22.8 fantasy points, 67% snap rate, 72% of the rushing attempts, 56% of the routes ran, 11% target share, which is good at the running back position, 18% targets per route run. This guy killed it last week in work rate metrics. And we know this could flip as coaches do coach things and manipulate game scripts. But you really want to look at that workload and saying there's no clues right now saying that this could flip. There's nothing saying that, hey, he is going to flip over and now it's all going to go to Haskins. That would be a dramatic flip on top of him being productive and looking good on the field. So something would have to change for this to change. Ain't nothing changing unless something's changing. And there's no clues for that right now. Just playing Captain Obvious for you guys. 27 seconds between plays, between snaps, and a rush share of 38% on the season. 67 plays per game is what you really want to look at. This team can get in some firepower game scripts. They can push the pace. And then last week, not much changes. A little bit less plays, though. 39% share of the rushing attempts, 25 rushing attempts on the game. And against the Dolphins here, it's not like it was a game script where they were just up and they could just use Vidal. Like, it was tight. It was tight. 7-6, 6-3. Starting to pull away in the back half is 29-27 at the end of the game. They were using Vidal. So one thing you can say that maybe if it's a game script where the Chargers are up and the other team is just trying to play catch up in the back half, maybe they pound out Haskins. Maybe they do that because that's an unknown right now. But the caveat to that is they're down on the offensive line, and they're going to be fighting in a lot of these games due to that. Even with them having a lot of firepower on offense, they're going to be fighting in a lot of games due to the offensive line and injuries that have occurred. So that's not going to be a likely game script. It may happen here and there. That's something that's just an unknown, though. That's not a call-out. It is an unknown because that is the truth, that different game scripts might get you different touches. Those are unknown, but we can definitely say when it's tight right now in the small sample, Kamani Vidal is the man, and that's safe to say on a lot of game scripts that he's going to be the man unless something changes. Titans, Vikings, Steelers, all in the top half of the league when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs. That's 3 of their next 4 games. And then you got the Colts coming up. That produces fire game scripts. That pushes the pace. That's solid at allowing the other team to push the pace, allowing them to get extra snaps to keep up with that offense. This should be a fun game to lean into this week. We should expect some firepower. This should be a fun one. Risky, though, but teams don't have to run against him, they got to push it by throwing. That lends in hand for Vidal. He's better and more explosive in the passing game. So you might get some checkdowns. Why you need him? Starting running back for the Chargers. That's why you need him. Because now you got the next man up. Should have got him last week. Should have got him on Tuesday, Wednesday. That should have happened. But now you need to know more about your player. You need to know more about your player. We told you some about him in the versus video, in the battle video last week. And we said, hey, this is a pickup. He's going to be cheaper, less fab, similar potential due to the touches. It could go either way. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe not. Maybe you want to go Haskins with what everybody's saying. Now we know what's happening here. We know where to put our bets at. The bets are already made, though. Haskins could mess it up. That is what you're worried about. Also, small school prospect, game scripts, everything else. I get it. But again, either way, right now, this moment, this second, he is adding value to your fantasy football team. That is hard to strip away. Trade value, just overall hopium for your fantasy football lineups, an extra play for flex or whatever you need. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.